Okay, guys. Hey, this is Scott. I am recording a reaction today to my favorite heavy metal band and song, Metallica, and Don't Tread on Me. And this came back out in like 92, 93 with their Black album. And it kind of went way over my head. I didn't know anything about it at the time, but it has to do with the Gadsden flag of the snake, the yellow flag that says "Don't tread on me," and that was our original American flag that we carried into battle at the Revolutionary War against England. And Benjamin Franklin wrote a article about it, why they picked the snake, and the lyrics "Don't tread on me." Often, as happens, the English and King George called us snakes, and so instead of denying that, they owned it and they made the snake their emblem of rebellion against King George. And there was reasons why that Benjamin Franklin talked about. This emblem means a lot to me because of my family history and my love of freedom and the Revolutionary War. Matter of fact, I have made this a tattoo, but I included on the top "Liberty or Death." And that "Liberty or Death" phrase was used throughout the Revolutionary War and by different people. But the Culpeper Minutemen in Virginia had their own flag, a version of this that said "Don't tread on me," but it said "Liberty or Death" on the top, and it said the Culpeper Minutemen. And I have a fifth great grandfather who was a Culpeper Minuteman and fought in the Revolutionary War with his brother, and they're both buried in that Virginia cemetery for that militia. They made a big difference, and both him and his brother survived the war and lived and died afterwards, so they must have been pretty badass. But anyways, it's like my favorite song, and how many people can say their tattoo has their own personal heavy metal anthem. So I have to share it with you today and then go over the history, and it's interesting. It's really a cool story. And so let's get started, man. That first guitar riff that comes in there, a lot of people didn't catch it, but I did, and it's a great trivia question. Not only does this song quote Benjamin Franklin, but it has a guitar riff from West Side Story, "I Want to Live in America." And my sister taught me into doing choir in school, and we had to play West Side Story and "I Want to Live in America." And so I recognized the tune, and they put it in here in the beginning. It's very patriotic sounding, anyways. But anyway, here we go. First three words, "Liberty or Death." And that was one of the most important phrases to them back then. Walk we so proudly here, once you provoke her, rattling of her tail. Once you provoke her, rattling of her tail. I think that most conservatives and Americans, law-abiding citizens, are pretty laid back. They don't really complain all the time. They don't whine. They're not social justice warriors. They keep quiet until they're provoked. And when they do rattle their tail, when they do get angry, you've kind of gone afoul. Wait, I'm going to back this up. Man, that phrase right there is one of the most important to Americans. And our thinking and our psychological makeup is never begins it. Never begins it. But once engaged, never surrenders, showing the things of rage. So and that's the way it should be. That's a Christian method of self-defense. I mean, you don't start it. You never start it. You let it go. But once engaged, then at that point, why surrender? You have the right to defend yourself. You don't have to let it go at that point. They took it too far. It's their issue then. So be it. Friend no more. So be it. Settle the score. Judge me again for the words that you will hear evermore. That so be it is a powerful phrase that we need to learn. Everything's not our fault. Everything that comes down the pipe, we don't have to take. Things may be the way they are, and we need to stand up for ourselves. So be it. They gave King George in England so many chances to do right, to change, and they didn't. And so then they eventually, when they tried to kill him for not turning in their guns at Lexington and Concord, they said, so be it. Friend no more. And they went to war over it. And at some point, when we're pushed to that ultimate thing, then we need to say, so be it. And we need to do what's right for us. We need to watch out for ourselves. Self-defense is all there is. That the phrase before, never begins it. Never begins it. Never begins it. Don't go out and attack people. Don't go out and do terrorist crap. But if you're attacked and you have to defend yourself, once engaged, never surrender, showing the things of rage. Never surrender. When you're right, don't surrender. You don't have to. Because not all things in this world are settled with flowers and roses. And King David and in the Bible and the Old Testament, there was a lot of violence and a lot of war. And when you're in the right, then you're doing right. You're protecting the innocent. You're protecting, what is right. You're standing up and resisting evil. That's the purpose of my channel. Oh, man. Okay, so I'm going to back this up, but this phrase here, this whole thing is exactly, almost word for word, what Benjamin Franklin said about, he did say small with a deadly bite, but never begins it, but once engaged, never surrenders. So that was his words too. But this one is as well, this coming up phrase. Eyes that never close, emblem of vigilance. And see, our founding fathers knew that once we won and once we got a republic, that we had to be on the lookout. We had to be vigilant and have people always looking out for wrong. And snakes don't have eyelids. Their eyes never close. They are the emblem of vigilance. And so that was part of it, and that's what Benjamin Franklin said. Awesome song. I love that song. I've liked it for years, but I listened to it and kind of blew it off in college. But then when I started learning about American history, it just dawned on me on what it really was about. So it meant a lot more to me, and the Gadsden flag as well. But that's our history. The Revolutionary War was against uppity, elitist, white European, annoying British punks and the king. We were fighting monarchy. And somebody saw my tattoo and they accused me of being a Confederate. Like they thought it had to do with the Civil War. I was like, no, I'm sorry, but killing white Europeans isn't racist against blacks. And we had to break away from that and eventually, make our own way to where we freed the slaves. But we didn't back down. We could have given our weapons up at Lexington and Concord and been forever under the thumb of King George and his taxes and his murders. I just talked about, social justice and racism. And you should read the complaints in the Declaration of Independence. He had sent forth swarms of officers to ticket people and eat out their substance. That was one of the things where they had all these officers. Oh, well, you didn't cross the street, so you owe us $25. I mean, it was the same thing that we face now. A lot of the stuff that we've been through, and our government does to us, our founding fathers would have already been at war from. And so that's why it's important that you can defend yourself and you get a gun. Man, do you own a gun? I do. Buy one. Own as many as you can. Get lots of ammo. That is your freedom, because things will break down and you have God-given rights. There's nothing that the government can tell you and force you to do, and they cannot violate your rights, but they're trying to. They're trying to tell you you have to wear masks. They're trying to tell you you have to take vaccines. And the whole idea of don't tread on me is that, hey, we're not instigators, but we're not going to take it either. We're not going to lay down. Snakes don't lay down and put their head under your boot heel and let you stomp on it. Man, it's, you get a rattlesnake you walk up on him and you disturb him and he comes up to strike. You better be trying to catch him at that point. Just walk away and leave him alone, and he'll leave you alone. He was minding his own business. And so that's why they chose this. And it has some very American and Christian ideas behind it. And I love the guitar riffs and the heavy metal and the way the song's written. And it means so much more to me now. It's like, man, these guys, this was back in 92. This is a pretty patriotic song for back then. But nowadays, it's like you see the Don't Tread on Me flag, and it should mean more to you now. It's the first American flag. It's not just about Southern rednecks. It's not like the Confederate flag. And there's some people who don't identify the Confederate flag with racism and slavery as much as they do being proud of being a Southerner, and so they're trying to reclaim it. But, things have meanings, and meanings change, and whatever meaning you apply to it, if you're using the Confederate flag for racism, then that's wrong. I don't particularly feel either way from it because I grew up in New Mexico. I didn't live in the South. But Gadsden flag, Don't Tread on Me. Metallica rocks. I like their stuff. Always have. I went to see them play in Las Cruces back in 92 with Guns N' Roses. Man, Axl Rose is a middle-aged Karen, pain in the ass, jerk, always has been. He ruined that concert. Don't go see him. Screw Axl Rose. Metallica rocks, but Axl Rose is a bitch. All right, talk to y'all later. And
here's a simple